A man suffering from sciatica had been unable to work for 2 years. His hip was so far raised above the other that walking was out of the question. He attended the centre and received treatment in massage and gymnastics. In 8 months he resumed work, that is 2 years ago. He calls at the centre now to express his delight in his recovered good health. Miss Flower and the staff generally show a deep interest in the cases and take up all with the determination to succeed. They, as well as the guardians, are maintaining the high ideals of the founders of the centre. Haslingden Corporation pioneered pay-as-you-enter buses, 2 of which are seen here. We have the 12-seat bus, which operated on the Elm Shore route for 4 months, from October 1919. It was made locally using a BSA chassis. The front entrance enabled the driver to take the fares. No earlier example of a one-man operated bus has come to light. Frequent breakdowns led to the withdrawal of the bus, which was nicknamed the Whippet. This 31-seat Leyland, which ran a semi-express service between Accrington and Bacup from December 1928, and the stopping service when the trams were withdrawn in May 1930. Few men have served Haslingden more devotedly than Major David Olsted, 1861 to 1937. He was the Mayor, MP for Rossendale, industrialist, churchman, officer in the local volunteers, dialect writer and historian. His articles on Old Haslingden, published in the Observer during the late 20s, are a valuable contribution to local history. The dole queues lengthened in the 1930s as the cotton industry experienced the effects of a world recession and of cheap goods from the East. This was the decade of the means test, of wage cuts, and, for a few weeks in 1932, of violence on the streets. Haslingden heard of its first talkies, but the Orchestral Society was wound up after 50 years. Attractive performances of light opera, however, showed that the town was still producing talented musicians. In spite of its declining population, Haslingden remained a closely knit community with a strong public spirit. This was clearly demonstrated as the war clouds gathered. The town was the first in the country, along with Prestwick, to produce a scheme for air raid precautions, and it had an efficient and fully manned civil defence organisation long before hostilities began. The summer of 1932 brought conflict to the streets of Haslingden. So bad was the cotton trade that the employers proposed wage cuts and the introduction of more looms per weaver. There was a strong opposition from the unions, so in June the workpeople at Syke Mill in Fields Road struck in protest at a 6 1/4% cut in pay and were replaced by blacklegs from Accrington and Blackburn. This caused strong resentment, which turned to violence as the strike dragged on. Mountain police were called in after the substitute workers had been roughly handled and windows of their buses smashed. The Mayor, Councillor Watson, arranged a truce upon which the firm agreed to close the mill, and the Haslingden Textile Trades Federation recommended its members to stop their demonstration. The Mayor, Councillor Watson, May the 1st, 1930, at 12 noon, and the last trams prepare to leave Haslingden Centre. I would just like to remind you that the bus services replaces the trams on the section between Accrington and Ronstall, and that Haslingden is the one borough that is cleared of trams as a result of the changeover. We remind ourselves that the services is worked jointly by the three corporations of Accrington, Haslingden and Ronstall. The introduction facilitates a 10-minute service of buses, except at rush hour and Saturday afternoons, which there is a 5-minute service. It was found that the wireless enthusiasts all along the route experienced a relief from disturbances exceeded their highest expectations. Policemen on point duty and wireless enthusiasts were all smiles. Early 30s brought important changes to Dearden Gate. On December the 17th, 1932, the last occasion the market was held in the street. September the 12th of the previous year, Haslingden's first traffic lights went into action at the town centre. For some years they were switched off at 11 p.m. Haslingden became a borough in 1891. At that time Rosenhill had a town council headed by a mayor. Mayor's Sunday was an important occasion marked by a procession to and a service at the church attended by the new first citizen. This picture was taken at St James's Church in 1933. The mayor is Councillor Fred Bramwood, and with him are, from left to right, the Reverend T. W. Hodson, Vicar, Alderman Lord, Mr. J. H. Anderton, Mr. Scooter, Mace Bearer, the Town Clerk, Mr. Bull, Councillor Baxter, Councillor Watson, and the Reverend A. Winfield, Vicar of Musbury. The Mayoress's reception was another event in the civic calendar. Here we see, on the same year, friends take tea with Mrs. Bramwood. Haslingden Grammar School with junior students who gave an evening entertainment in November 1932. Speech Day in 1933, when the prizes were distributed by Miss Margaret Bonfield, the first woman cabinet minister. We see Miss Bonfield with the head girl, Katie Barker, who made the speech of welcome. Miss Bonfield said Katie's beautiful delivered voice would have been very refreshing in the House of Commons. Here we see winners of a fancy dress parade in 1932, the Buy British Goods, students having their photograph taken on the footbridge at Haslingden Station. This was in 1939, before beginning their journey to a school camp at Dawlish. Speech Day 1937. We see Miss Beatrice Shipstone in all her glory, who has taught ballet dancing to hundreds of Haslingden children since she opened her school in Regent Street in 1930. The children also were taken in 1930. The Desert Song was staged in November 1935. Ben Stevenson, Billy the Donkey, Helen Stevens are all from the Haslingden Amateur Operatic Society, founded in the same year, raised large sums for local charities with its annual productions, which were given until the war intervened. Mr. Arthur Nuttall, who conducted the orchestra from 1914. The orchestra played Rossini's overture, The Barber of Seville. Mr. C. H. Heathcote, conductor from 1902 to 1914. The last concert of the Haslingden Orchestral Society. This was in the Public Hall on November the 14th, 1934, when 120 performers took part. The society was founded in 1885. The Wilsons were active in Haslingden's musical life for half a century. They took part in the concerts of the Orchestral Society and in numerous operas and musical comedies given by the church groups and others. It is said that they will probably be best remembered for playing light music together in local functions. They did this at Haslingden's Mayoresses receptions for more than 30 years. Alice Mary, who is shown on the left, who often accompanied distinguished soloists at orchestral society concerts. A Home Visit by Nurse Ann Knowles, often referred to as Haslingden's Florence Nightingale, tending for the sick for more than 30 years, walking from house to house in every kind of weather. She was the senior nurse of the Haslingden District Nursing Society, a voluntary body which served the town from 1901 to 1951. In 1933, after she had completed 21 years with the society, Nurse Knowles received a number of presents, including £150 of government war bonds. The presentation was made by Captain Baxter, who organised the public appeal. The Mayor Councillor F. Bramwood presided in 1947. Nurse Knowles was made a Freeman of Haslingden. The quotation from the Reverend W. Speakman, Vicar of St. Peter's in 1930, and what he has to say is how much more good has been done in Haslingden during the past 12 months by the golden-hearted Nurse Knowles than by all the smart set put together and multiplied 10,000 times. The nurse received no publicity. I have never seen her name on a gilt-edged card. She appears in no processions, and I have never heard of her gracing a fashionable wedding or a smart dance. But after all, isn't she, and others like her, a flower in the garden? It doesn't appear to be fashion in Haslingden for the menfolk to raise their hats, but when we do raise them, let it be to the nurse. She deserves it.